Hi dear peeps, welcome back. I'm Petra for the new subscribers, and I trust you all had a wonderful, good weekend. I know I did. My husband surprised me with a surprise party on Saturday because I'm turning 44 next week. So yeah, it was great to come home from doing shopping, and I walked into the door and there was a huge surprise. So it was great to reconnect with family and friends. So yeah, he scored points in my book, my hubby then. Anyway, I digress. I received a comment under one of the videos. I think it was the video on empaths in relationship to the narcissist, and there was a comment there from Jacqueline H. Hi Jacqueline, and also thank you to you for your support, as I say thank you to all the other subscribers. Jacqueline asked the question. I've just taken a few bits from her comment, and she said she'd like to know the difference between stonewalling and the silent treatment or ignoring versus being hurt and becoming quiet as means of self-protection. Now, I thought this was an excellent question because first off, I experienced this as well when I was befriended with the narcissist, and I think it's a question that can apply to so many of you as well. So I thought I would, answer that straight away and make a video on it. Yeah, so the difference between stonewalling, silent treatment, ignoring versus being hurt and becoming quiet as means of self-protection. Now, stonewalling, I'm sure all of you know what the meaning is of stonewalling and that you have, of course, been through it. But just to clarify it, stonewalling is the refusal to communicate. So whether this is going silent, whether the narcissist gives you the silent treatment, or it can show up in their body language. They'll just sort of stiffen. You'll see it in their facial expression. They usually do this when they are displeased at you. You know, if you've said or done something that pisses them off. Well, I mean, it doesn't take much to get them going, but if you've done something that offends them, then you will get the stonewalling. So it's the refusal to communicate. You'll see it in their body language, and it is also the use of deflection in conversation in order to render the conversation insignificant. That is what stonewalling is. And the silent treatment is when they ignore you and that they refuse to acknowledge you verbally or otherwise. Now, as so many of you have been through, I also experienced this. I experienced the stonewalling, and it was more that I sort of detected the body language, as I just mentioned. They sort of stiffen up and their face goes cold, stone-like. And they, at that point, refuse to communicate on whatever subject you were just onto, whatever came up in the conversation that they didn't like. They refuse to further communicate on that. So they'll switch it by bringing up another subject or walking away from you, turning their back on you. That is the stonewalling. And the silent treatment is, I remember with the ex-friend that I was dealing with, when I broke off contact the first time, the ignoring came into play, where at some point I tried to get in touch again. I'd send her a message on the phone, and she would read it. I could see she had read it, but she would ignore it. Through social media, if I placed a comment on something that she had written, or I gave it a thumbs up, she would totally disregard that and ignore my very existence. So ignore the fact that I had commented on certain things. So just an overall ignoring, not answering phone, not answering emails. When you ask them a question, ask them why they are ignoring you, this will be met by more silent treatment, more silence. And so they refuse to acknowledge whatever question you have asked, or they will just give you the silent treatment in conversation. They'll just sort of, if you ask them a question, they'll just go blank and you will not get an answer from that. So I think stonewalling and silent treatment sort of folds into each other. It's the ignoring, it's not acknowledging, it is using deflection in order to render the conversation insignificant. So I think it all sort of meshes together. So when you receive this treatment from the narcissist, this is what Jacqueline H. also brought up, is that she was hurt by this treatment, and therefore she became silent. She became quiet by means of self-protection. I love this, Jacqueline, because this is exactly what I used to do. And I'm sure many of you who are watching this can relate to it. Where you feel the venom, you feel it, you acknowledge it within yourself, and then you sort of, that is exactly it. By trying to protect yourself, you will go silent, you will sort of move away from whatever conversation is going on. So I remember this often happened in a group setting. If there was a group of us, this ex-friend would, she of course want all the attention on her and would be taking over the whole conversation. If someone made a comment or if someone said something, she would blah, 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 sort of, talk over it. And I remember that this got to the point where I thought, if I call her out on this in a group setting, this is going to just cause a lot of aggravation, a lot of frustration. You will be causing a conflict in their eyes, in the narcissist's eyes. So I would sort of back down and just sort of go into myself and also become silent. So the very funny thing here is that we as empaths tend to do the same as the narcissist, or not only as empaths, sorry, excuse me on that. I mean, we as the abused tend to do the same sort of thing as the narcissist. So where the narcissist will stonewall and give you silent treatment, we will do the same by getting silent within ourselves. But there is a huge difference in the intention behind it. So the narcissist does the stonewalling and silent treatment with the intention of punishing you, and we, the abused, use the silent treatment mostly with the intention of self-protecting. So that is the difference. We do the same thing with totally different intentions. So that is why I thought this was, such a great question, Jacqueline, because there are so many sides to this. So yeah, Jacqueline had brought up that when we are treated poorly by the narcissist, which is most of the time, we tend to close up and withdraw. So you are very right in saying that this is a means of self-protection, because that is what it is. We tend to put the blame on ourselves. We tend to, self-reflect. We administer introspection because we think there's something wrong with what we have said or done. Now, as you all know, this is not the case, but this is the feeling that is caused within us. Another point that Jacqueline brought up was, she writes here, if I'm vulnerable about how I feel, I'm afraid that I will then provoke a fight. And the narcissist thrives on power and control. This is absolutely true. So when you are feeling vulnerable, when you feel that you want to call them out, want to challenge them on what they say and what they do, You are setting yourself up to be vulnerable. This is absolutely correct. And you know that by challenging them, you will provoke a fight, you will provoke a conflict. And this is for the simple fact that you have touched on a narcissistic injury, you have opened up their wound. So this is why you will be met with conflict, with narcissistic rage, with silent treatment, with stonewalling. So yes, you were right in saying that the narcissist does thrive on power and control. This is true. But they also thrive on the fear. So when you are feeling the fear and the discomfort of being vulnerable and of challenging them, they can sense this. The narcissist knows when you are in a state of fear, and they love this. This is another thing that they thrive on, because, you know, as long as they can make you continue to feel inferior, to feel fearful, to feel hurt, this is what they thrive on. So, you know, you can say, I don't want to provoke a fight. But what you are actually doing is you are sending off, your energy is giving off the fear that they smell on. So this is what they are feeding on. So I understand, you know, why we do this. It is another means of self-protection, but it is also adding to the narcissistic supply. And this is a whole process that you will go through, because you know, you may realize that you're doing it, as Jacqueline also mentioned. She realizes when she's in this position that she chooses not to provoke, not to go, not to take the conflict road, but rather to become silent. This is, you know, it's like a survival mechanism that we go into. But you will find at some point you have to make the choice of, are you going to continue to put up with this behavior, or are you going to challenge the narcissist? So it can take a while to get to this point. I know that it took me 4 years to get to that point of just having enough. I had had enough of the abuse, of the manipulation, of the stonewalling, of the silent treatment, of the gaslighting. I had just had enough. And I remember thinking to myself that I was afraid to lose this friendship. And so I questioned myself. I said, well, why are you afraid to lose the friendship? What is it that is making you so afraid to speak up, stand in your truth, and just be done with all of the drama? And I just felt at that point that I needed her validation that she sometimes gave for certain things, but it was not a true validation. I realize now in hindsight that she was only giving this validation, to use another air quote, to keep me in her web, to be able to use me as her source of supply. So when you realize this, I came to the point where I realized that, you know, I was no longer going to put up with this abusive behavior from her. And so I made the very conscious decision to stand up to her and to just, you know, feel that fear. I felt the fear of standing up to her, but feel the fear and do it anyway. I've said this in a previous video. Feel the fear and do it anyway. That is from this wonderful book, Susan Jefferson. I've got it somewhere here in my bookcase. But that is just the thing, you know, feel the fear and know that when you confront them, when you challenge them, yes, you will set them off. Yes, you will get into a conflict with them. But, you know, it's all about you at the end of the day. It is not about the narcissist. It is not about how to maintain the relationship with the narcissist. It's about what you are going through, what you are feeling. It's about your self-esteem being bashed. It's about your self-worth being discredited. So these are the things that you need to take into account. We need to stop thinking about what the narcissist thinks, what kind of approval will we get from the narcissist? How can we tiptoe around them? How can we, handle them with soft little mittens on, No, that's not what it's about. It's about getting yourself back to being with yourself, getting your power back, and being able to navigate, as Jacqueline also mentioned in her comment, being able to navigate in your own life and not feel continuously threatened by the narcissist, because this is exactly what they want. Another point that Jacqueline brought up was that she is too an empath, but this is, this goes for all of us who have been through the abuse or who are maybe still in the abuse from the narcissist. She says she feels deeply uncomfortable and uneasy confronting the narcissist because they parade around like they are kind, down-to-earth peacemakers, but they behave in the completely opposite way. They behave in contradiction. This is true. This is absolutely true. I have been through it. I have experienced this. Most of you have experienced this. They know that you are going to feed into this. When you are in their web, when you are under their spell, they know that you are going to continuously feed into this false self when they parade around like they are goody two-shoes, that they are such wonderful people in the community, that they are so loving and kind. Just remember that this is the false self that they are projecting, showing to the rest of the world. And they know that because they have you like a puppet on a string, that you will continue to feed into this behavior. So that is why they will parade around this way, because they know that you will not unmask them at that point in time. But the thing to do is to step back from the situation, whatever way you need to, in protecting yourself before going no contact with the narcissist, then do that. Take those necessary steps. Start protecting yourself. Start valuing yourself, and stop feeding into these false identities of the narcissist. We need to take a stand as those who have been abused, those who are still going through the abuse. You have to at some point take a stand and take responsibility for your own life and step back from this nasty, in some cases even demonic world of of the narcissist. The final point that I would like to get into is that Jacqueline Jacqueline asked how to recover from the gaslighting tactics, as this attacks her self-esteem. Yeah, another point that I totally get, and that I'm sure so many of you can once again relate to. The gaslighting is another way, of course, of control. The narcissist always feels that they have to be in control. They do not like to lose. They want to be on top of their game. So they will continue to gaslight you, continue to put you in a state of self-doubt, of second-guessing yourself. And yes, a very direct effect that this has is on your self-esteem and on your self-worth. So how do you recover from this? There are very many ways. I can only share with you the way I implemented into this whole experience. When I was being gaslighted, yes, in the beginning, I went through very much self-doubt. I kept checking myself. I kept second-guessing myself. And you, of course, start to believe what they are telling you when they gaslight you. You start to question your own sanity. You start to question your own truth. And how to recover from this? I remember after it had been done to me for the 100th time, I said to her, I refuse to continue defending myself. I know who I am. So you can think whatever you want to think about me. This is your truth. It is your truth. It has nothing to do with me. You have your truth, I said to the ex-narcissist, and I have my truth. And let us just agree to disagree. And of course, she once again put on the full gaslighting tactic. She turned on all the taps. She put up the heat. She came at me with her terrible narcissistic fury, but I stood my ground. You know, it's a process that you have to go through. And even though you feel that your knees are shaking and that you want to back down and let the narcissist have their way, no, don't even go down that road. Stand in your own truth and know that whatever they are saying to you to shake your world, to shake your foundation, that is all just a projection of who they are. It is not a projection of who you are. So you need to become clear about your truth. You need to know what you stand for, what your values are. You know, that is the only way to break free and to recover from the whole gaslighting tactic. I would, you know, that is, I'm just looking through the rest of my notes. I think that was it, Jacqueline. That was most of your email, your comment. The only way to bounce back from the abuse is to take the first step, and the first step is to go no contact. I sound like a broken record. I keep repeating myself, but you know, take that first step in going no contact. How difficult it may seem, you will be so grateful to yourself at the end of the journey, because this is what you need. You are the only one who is going to be able to bounce back, take back your power, and stop the abuse. The narcissist has no intention of stopping the abuse. As long as you allow it to happen, as long as you accommodate them, as long as you pussyfoot around them, as long as you feed into their false self, they will continue with the abuse. So it is up to you, it is up to me, it is up to everyone who is going through this to set that boundary and to start saying no. Go no contact. I hope this video has been of some help, and Jacqueline, I hope that has answered your questions that you had. And if not, then just let me know, and I will make a second video and maybe just take it into a little more detail and depth. Anyway, once again, I hope this has helped in some way. Please continue subscribing. I just love that this community is growing and growing and growing, and that we are all sharing in our healing process and sharing our experiences and our truths with others in the community. So thank you once again, and share this video with anyone whom you think may need it right at this point in their lives. Looking forward to speaking to you again and seeing you very soon. Take care and have a wonderful, amazing Monday. Bye for now.